a museum. First, we're gonna go to IHOP. His eye. Whoa. Every time I shoot, it keeps on coming in tight.
That he looks cool.
The Triceratops?
No.
The T-Rex?
The Bronchiosaurus.
This looks like a shark camera cretaceous, like, you know how the baby Brachiosaurus?
Okay, we don't know. We don't have a clue what we're doing. He's a dinosaur fan, so.
Oh, you're the dino fan? Awesome. Yeah, well, this is Dinosaur Adventureland, and you came a little late, so I don't know if they're doing any more tours, but I can definitely give you all the arm tour since I'm going to be doing one pretty soon.
Okay.
But yeah, let me sign y'all up. You're doing just so like if you have any while you're doing mine or Texas. Inside tour. Unless y'all just kind of want to settle down for a moment.
The oldest tree that they've been able to find so far is called the Methuselah tree out there in the White Mountains of California. Yes. They're called sugar pine cones. They're from the sugar pine out in California. But out in the White Mountains of California, Earth's oldest living organism is a bristlecone pine called the Methuselah tree. They say it's around 4,300 years old. Interesting how Earth's oldest living organism is less than 6,000 years old.
I heard that door.
All right, over here we have some yew wood. This is what they make bows out of. You can see those dark colored rings mixed in there with the lighter colored rings. Those dark colored rings are very rigid and strong. The light colored rings are soft and flexible, so the wood will bend but not break. Yeah, I'll just like trees go through good and bad growing seasons, we go through good times and bad times in our lives. God is preparing us for challenges we might face, giving us that strength and flexibility. Does anybody know what this is here?
Looks like 3 fingers, actually.
It's actually a cypress knee from the cypress tree. The root goes out, pops up, goes back down. They can get up to 14 feet tall depending on the depth of the water. So, I was reading about cypress knees.
Is it like a stump tree?
It's part of the root. So, when the cypresses are in a swamp, they get these long cypress knees. This is actually the same thing. It's called a cypress knot, but you'll find that in somebody's front yard somewhere.
That actually looks like a knot right there.
They still don't know the function of a cypress knee. They have all these theories, but it's still a mystery. I find that interesting because they're telling kids in school they know with certainty what happened millions and billions of years ago, but they're still stumped by things they find in nature today, like a cypress knee. Now, it's possible we have some evidence of evolution here. You know, one of the trees outside, he's getting really mad at the other trees, and he's slowly evolving a chainsaw. So we applied for a government grant. It's going to take us a few $1 million to observe the tree for the next 5 million years and see what happens.
It actually looks like a machine gun.
Could be. We got the first 2 rows of trees here, deciduous trees. They shed their leaves seasonally. We got some evergreen trees down here. They keep their leaves throughout the season, shed them in stages. So, got a variety here, different types of trees. Evolutionists, they look at the differences here and they say, oh, well, sprinkle millions and billions of years over that, eventually you're going to get a squirrel. Crazy. The Bible says everything produces after its kind. Trees produce trees, dogs produce dogs. Common sense. It's all we ever observe. Science is what we can observe, test, demonstrate. They're always telling us evolution is such a long, slow process, you can't observe it. Well, that's unscientific. Now, just like tree rings grow in all directions, we want to keep growing in certain areas of our lives. The Bible says Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man. 4 different areas. Mental, learning new things. Social, making friends, maintaining relationships. Physical, taking care of our bodies. And spiritual, our relationship with God. So we want to live a healthy, balanced life like a tree. Now the important question is, what did the limestone say to the geologist? Don't take me for granite. Yes, we've got some granite down here, different varieties of granite. Now they tell us billions of years ago the earth was a hot molten mass and it cooled down, forming the crust of the earth. But if you melted granite and let it cool off, it turns to obsidian. It does not turn back into granite. We know that we don't get granite from a hot molten mass. That's something we can test. Nobody knows how granite is formed. Over here, we have the process of pollination, reproduction in nature, symbiotic relationships. There's a very particular bee that only pollinates the vanilla bean. So these critters, they eat the pollen as a food source, and as they're eating it, it gets to the other parts of the flower. They transfer it to other flowers, and it helps produce seeds and more flowers. It's a symbiotic relationship. They must coexist. It can't go through a process of evolution. If the plants and the flowers are evolving separately at a different time in a different area than all the animals, well, how are they going to reproduce? Who's going to reciprocate the gases if you have the plants and the flowers popping up first and the animals aren't there, or vice versa? Cannot go through a process of evolution. Why would anything in nature reproduce at all according to evolution? Survival of the fittest. Well, if you're a flower and you're throwing seeds around and another flower pops up next to you, it's going to take your water, your sunlight, your nutrients. Not beneficial. How come things haven't evolved to live forever? They've had billions of years. What are they waiting for? If you guys come to the other side of the board, remember that little Novatrope on day 1? We had that little thing spinning around. We had the pine cone on there. Phillotaxis plant, euthanasia flower, cauliflower. See the Fibonacci sequence. Evidence of design. Even some of the critters here have the Fibonacci sequence. If things are just happening randomly over millions and billions of years, random chaos, how are we getting one sequence? And yet we get multiple sequences over different species. Fibonacci sequence, evidence of design, the geometry that we find in nature, the laws of nature. How does that evolve? Second law of thermodynamics says everything's going to break down over time. So what they believe is that all the complexity that we see, if you just give it time, it'll build itself. That's crazy. If I pile up a bunch of metal in the driveway and I spit on it, eventually it'll be a Ferrari. Just give it enough time. That's what you'd have to believe. How does a seed program itself? What came first, the flowers or the seeds? The flowers are just sprouting up out of the ground through some process of evolution. Why don't they keep just doing that? Don't even need a seed. You have to have an amazing amount of faith to believe that all this can just build itself over time. We got day 4 over here. God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So God made the sun, the moon, the stars. The shapes that the stars make, called the zodiac, tells an interesting story. If you start out with Virgo the Virgin and follow that with Leo the Lion, could represent the virgin birth of Jesus Christ. Jesus is talked about as being the Lion of Judah. We end with Libra the balances. In Revelations it said, I beheld a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Judgment Day. Scorpio, the devil is talked about as being a scorpion in the Bible. We know he's real busy right before Judgment Day, the Antichrist tribulation, all those things happening in the end times. Aries the ram. Abraham goes to sacrifice his son. Ram stuck in the thicket representing the substitute Jesus Christ. So a lot of gospel symbolism right there in the zodiac you could read a lot about. Looks like God put the gospel story in the stars for everybody to see when he originally created everything. People were looking up through that crystalline canopy. It'd be like looking through a magnifying glass. They could see the stars a lot clearer than we do today. The radio waves from those stars, if they were to hit the canopy, causing it to resonate, you might be able to hear the music of the stars, like in Job 38, verse 7, when the morning stars sang together. Stars singing, making music. Fascinating. So, there are some simple things we observe here on Earth and in the universe that prove it cannot be millions or billions of years old. For example, the moon is getting close to the Earth by millions of years. The sun is constantly burning up fuel. It's getting smaller over time. Well, if it's getting smaller as time goes on, that means if you go back in time, it's got to get bigger. If you go back just 100,000 years, it'd be so big and it's too hot. You can't have life here at all. Oil in the ground, you strike oil, it comes shooting up under lots of pressure. Well, it can't maintain that pressure for more than 10,000 years before it breaks through the rocks. Aren't they saying oil's in the ground for millions of years? Current rate of erosion, everything would be eroded flat in about 13 million years. Wouldn't have mountains at all. They love making fun of Noah's flood. Oh, you guys think it rained for 40 days and 40 nights? They believe it rained for 2 million years. 2 million years of rain. You can look that up on any search engine. It'll be the first result. National Geographic, the time it rained for 2 million years. And before that, they had constant volcanic eruptions for 5 million years. If you can read about, there's the year 563, I think, there was a blackout. The sun was almost completely blacked out from one eruption. And it lasted for about a year and a half. It was called the Black Year or something. They believe that there were constant volcanic eruptions for 5 million years straight. That is insane. Crazy. If you guys follow me in here, we'll get on to day 5. Careful. What's that? What does it say on day 5?
Well, God created the birds and the fish and the water.
Right. The open firmament. So, in the first tank over here, we have some rainbow sharks. You can see them there with the red fins. You've got a beta Japanese fighting fish over there. You see him with the blue.
Is it dead?
No, he just likes to hang out in the plant there. Sometimes he'll hide under the seashells. And then we got a little apple snail right there. He helps eat the algae on the side of the tank. The middle tank right over here, we've got some baby mollies. See them swimming around? Very popular little aquarium fish. And then we got some albino sharks swimming around there. They might be underneath there or hanging out in a pirate ship.
Yeah, I see.
Oh no, it's alright.
So here's a question for you.
What do you got?
When you were over there and you said the what came first, the seed or the flower, chicken or the egg?
There's so many examples like that you can just bring up. And it's just like, you know, these people, they believe in such insane things. You know, how does this all come about? We got some blowfish over here, genetically modified to give them the vibrant colors.
Blowfish?
They're called glowfish. It's actually a company, so they got all different types of varieties of little fish there that they genetically modify to give them those colors. And can anybody tell me what this is here? What do you got?
It looks like a boat's rudder.
No. What do you got?
A propeller?
No, not quite.
Faucet.
It is a fossil. And here I'll show you later on day 6. I'll show you the whole spinal column of vertebrates. But I don't know what type of whale, but Jonah had plenty of room to hang out in there for a few days. We got some cichlids in the big tank. This guy right here, he is called a tiger Oscar. So, if I take this little treat right here, he is one of the most intelligent fish you can have in your tank. So we'll show him the treat there. And let's see if he can hop out and grab it from me. Oop, almost. Come on. There we go.
So you're missing the fish.
A little Oscar fish.
He was jumping
Here,
out.
just give him one. I don't want him to choke.
You're not getting this.
You don't feed him yet. He's still chewing on that. If you give him another one, he might choke. So just hold on to that. Over here. Josiah, don't give him another one. All right. Anyway, we got Grandpa over here, the famous lobefin fish that they say 300 to 400 million years ago decided it was going to crawl out of the ocean and turn itself into a frog. It got bored of being a frog, decided to turn itself into a lizard, and then the lizards got really bored and decided to turn themselves into mammals. And then the cows, they got really bored and decided to go back into the water and turn themselves into whales. Yes. This is complicated science. Don't ask any questions. It took millions of years. Somebody was there 300 million years ago, and they drew a picture and they put it in the textbook. It must be true. Crazy. And yet, there's the lobefin fish still swimming around today. 300 to 400 million years old. That's pretty crazy, huh? Was that?
Oh yeah, those are
They didn't get bored enough. See, when you read about why they crawled out of the ocean, it says, oh, that, well, they were in desperate search for food, that's why they came out. And yet, when you read about why they swim around, they say, oh, isn't it amazing that the 400 million year old lobefin fish didn't have to evolve because they had plenty of food, lack of predators, and they live in underwater caves. They don't even stay consistent with the nonsense they're trying to do.
like the monkeys, like there's dumb humans that just decided not to.
Yeah, they didn't want to keep evolving. That's why the monkeys are still around, because they were just comfortable being monkeys. They didn't want to make progress. Except maybe this one.
And sometimes I wonder about my kids, but
Yeah. Sometimes it makes you wonder, but all right, did you guys spot the yellow-bellied slider? Where is he at?
Under here.
Is he under the rock?
You know, he's behind the rock.
He's behind the rock.
Oh, he's in
We got a whole bunch of these guys out at our lakes.
Look, he's on.
Let me see if I can encourage him to swim around. There he is. These guys can live 20 to 40 years. They'll get about a foot long.
A foot?
A foot.
That's about.
You see him in there?
No.
He's right there.
Danica,
They love to have a little basking spot, so I got a little spot over here we can do some sunbathing. They eat little minnows, and they're mostly omnivores. They'll eat plenty of plants. Those are just some colorful, I forget what you call them. But it's what you put in the fish tanks. And then over here, we got a tortoise.
What are tortoises?
This is an African spur
A tortoise is a kind of bird.
So these guys, they live on
doesn't like-
land, whereas
he
the
can't swim
turtle
in
likes
water.
to live in
No.
the water.
I'll touch him.
So, grrr. Yeah, be careful. Now, this guy's only about 11 months old. They can live 150 years, depending on the conditions. When you guys take the outside tour with Dr. Hoban, you will meet Turbo, our adult African spur tortoise.
He's actually like 500 pounds.
He's not 500 pounds. He's probably around 80 pounds. Cows, you're gonna have a strange diet. At least
my
they save
goodness.
money on toothpicks.
I mean, people eat turtles too, so.
That's true.
I mean, we eat fish.
Depends on who you talk to.
She likes frog legs.
I do like frog legs.
Interesting.
Sugar glider.
Yes, we got some sugar gliders over here. They're kind of like a flying squirrel.
Yeah, I know.
They're also nocturnal, so they spend most of the day in the little pouch there.
Where? Does he have his feathers up?
They're invisible?
No.
Wow.
Because there's a peacock right there, and it's a male. And what happened? What happened here? You okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
See them in there? We got two of
I'm
them.
so sorry. You're in it.
No, one of them's not too friendly.
How do you know which is which?
You
You
know,
find out the hard way then.
you put your hand. That's
You
their
don't
daughter.
want to know that.
So depending on how high they are, up in the trees they can glide over 100 feet.
Wow, that's as long as the blue whale.
Oh, so.
Don't put your hand on her.
No. They call them sugar gliders because they love sugar. But everybody loves sugar, so I don't really get that one.
Then you
What?
try sugar with some cucumber.
Sugar with cucumber, that's weird.
No, you meant the sugars with sodium.
No,
So?
I'm talking about sugar
What is this thing?
with cucumber.
They're
This is
considered
very-
marsupials. They got a little pouch in front, so when they have babies, they stay in the pouch for a little while. Over here we got the elephant bird egg.
Yeah.
This is just a cast mold of one. Extinct bird from Madagascar. Compare that to
Ostrich.
an ostrich egg. That's pretty big, right?
Can
So,
you believe people eat those things too?
ostriches?
Yeah, the little eggs. Ostrich.
Oh, the ostrich eggs? That's a big omelet, right?
Yeah.
So,
This is
next time you guys are hanging out in Madagascar, keep your eyes open for the elephant bird egg. They're worth $100,000. Oh. Extinct bird, went extinct around the 1500s, got up to 14 feet tall. So, we got the ostrich egg right here, the emu egg. We got some emus out at the barn. We got a hummingbird nest with a hummingbird egg. Going back to the question, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, God made the chicken, chicken laid the egg. Pretty easy for me to answer, but evolutionists, you know, they got to come up with, how does the egg just make itself? Who's going to sit on the egg? If the chickens are just sprouting up out of the ground, what do they need eggs for?
I guess cavemen did it.
Must have been. They're also saying that the T-Rex evolved into a chicken. Huge improvement.
He had little arms, so.
There you go. That must be true. Must be true. The feather over here has some amazing design features. On the upstroke, they open up like Venetian blinds, let the air through, then on the downstroke, they close up. Wonder how long that took to evolve. All right, guys, follow me outside.
It'd be fun.
scary.
It'd be fun if you went to
A bunch of birds.
get an egg pack or something.
We get to see a
That would
peacock.
be an interesting.
We're going to go see a peacock.
All right, you can spot the peacock. Tell me which one.
Right.
That one? The one with the
No, that one down there.
Yeah. So we've got one peacock and 3 peahens. He uses those vibrant colors to attract the females. The more vibrant the colors, the healthier the bird. So that's what they're looking for. There he goes.
Oh, I've never seen one.
Wow.
Dang, that's big feathers.
Look. You see the peacock? Fanning his feathers? Look at that. Wow.
Have you ever got bitten by a rabbit? No. Worse.
That's big, huh?
When I used to see this, I was like, is his whole body bigger? Is he so sweet?
If it's at the sunlight.
It's funny, every time he's trying to show off that they're never paying attention. And then they also fan their feathers out, and he's never paying attention when they're doing it. So. Next to the peacocks, we got our parakeets.
Did you know that actually if you're trying to kill a peacock, you do it when he's doing that? Because you can just sneak up right behind him, right?
You sneak up right behind that
I actually do that. I snuck up right behind him,
Terrorizer.
and he's like, where is he? And I just touched him, he's like, whoa! And he put his feathers back.
I used to have a peacock feather.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pretty cool. Best thing ever.
My dad has one somewhere in his house.
Kind of.
They don't tell you?
In the old kitchen, the peacocks, they would just sleep. And they kind of land like boats, like planes.
All right, we'll come back over here.
I'm going there.
Maybe he sold
You guys can take a look at our guinea pigs.
Oh yeah, we've seen these.
I don't know where the guinea pigs are.
So we've got a skinny guinea in there. I think she's probably hiding in the little house there. Hairless guinea pig. In 1978, there was a mutation that caused hairless guinea pigs. Evolution is always depending on these beneficial mutations to get where we are today, but it is not a benefit for the guinea pig to lose its fur. You probably can't see it.
There's an egg.
A what? An egg?
Yeah. Do you see it?
Oh,
Get back
is
inside,
it?
guys. Head on to day 6.
There's an egg.
So,
Do they lay eggs?
Yeah, they should. They're birds, right?
The hens do.
Right there? Look, it's an egg. Right there in that.
He knows about that.
Thank you.
Mom. That's what we saw, remember? On the clip. Oh my
I
God.
used to be crazy about that.
I just looked the other day, the brooding box.
There's like a dip on the side part right here. If you're facing it from that ramp, you're facing your peacock
Do you not know what
up a little bit, in that little dip, there's an egg sitting right there. She pointed it out.
All right. Okay, guys, day 6. God said that the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beasts of the earth after his kind. And God said, let us make man in our image. So in 6 days, God made everything, not millions of years ago. He created the dinosaurs and us. Please don't touch the model here. No, everything was made in 6 days. Some of you may have please don't touch, please don't touch.
Lincoln.
Please don't touch. You may have heard of the Loch Ness Monster before. Yeah, Loch Ness is a big lake in Scotland, 24 miles long, a mile and a half across in some areas, and about 1,000 feet deep at the center. Everybody alive today could drown in that lake at the same time. It is huge. People have been seeing a creature living in the lake. They call it the Loch Ness Monster. So, there have been over 11,000 sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. The Bible says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. Well, 11,000 sightings is definitely more than 3 people. There's probably a plesiosaur living out in the lake. Some of the illustrations here, the Spicer family said they saw the Loch Ness Monster going back into the water with a sheep in its mouth. Arthur Grant, a veterinarian student, said he almost ran into the Loch Ness Monster on his motorcycle in 1934. Veterinarian students definitely going to know his animals, and this is the creature that he describes, plesiosaur. Here's a photograph taken in 1974 of the Loch Ness Monster. You can go to LochNessSightings.com and keep up on the latest. There were some sightings in 2021. I don't know if there has been any in 2022. So, you got this guy walking along the beach of Lake Erie. His name's Pete Peterson. He's a taxidermist. He saw this creature washed up, so it was dead. He stuffed it. There it is on display. Could be a baby plesiosaur. You got this creature washing up in Alty, Georgia, 2013. They have a statue of it in the visitor center. You got some articles over here written about the sauropod dinosaurs still living out in the Congo in Africa. The Congo in Africa has a swamp in it called the Lakawala Swamp. It's as big as the whole state of Florida, just a swamp. When missionaries travel that day, they talk to the natives, and the natives tell them stories about these dinosaurs they still encounter in the swamp, like this one here. Here, on this wall, these black stones, they're called Ica stones from Ica, Peru. 1,000 to 1,500 years old. What's on these stones is very interesting. You've got this guy cutting the head off of the dinosaur. Here's a dinosaur eating somebody. This guy's riding a dinosaur. How did they know what dinosaurs looked like 1,000 years ago? We only started piecing the bones together in the 1800s. So how did they know? Here's a drawing made by some of the natives out in Australia of a creature that ate one of their friends. Looks like a plesiosaur. So,
Get out of there, guys.
come on over here, guys. We're going to look at all this stuff right here. The Vikings had the serpent head on their ships. Well, they knew about sea serpents and they're sailing around and a sea serpent sees the ship and might just think they're a sea serpent, leave them alone. Could have been a deterrent. This is a news article from Nova Scotia, 1974. 4 fishermen said they saw a sea monster chasing their boat for over an hour. They said it was 40 to 50 feet long, 4 feet across at the top of the head, 9 feet across at the jaws. Huge. If you guys come down here, we'll take a look at this photograph taken in 1977. A Japanese fishing vessel pulled this creature up out of the water. They said it was 32 feet long, 4,000 pounds. They also said it was a plesiosaur. You can see the long neck, the head, the 4 fins right there. Now the critics say it's a basking shark because when they faced with evidence like this, they have to deny it because they believe that a plesiosaur lived 100 million years ago. How can it still be alive today or in recent time? So there's a picture of a basking shark down there. I'll let you guys decide. Does that look like this?
No.
No, I don't think so. Japan made this stamp that year to commemorate what the fishermen caught. You got this over here, 1925, Monterey, California. This creature washed up. You can see the long neck, the head. Interesting. Looks like another plesiosaur from 1925.
When I used to come in here, I used to think that was a bear. Because it kind of does
You
look.
gotta look again at what a bear is.
Kind of does.
Over here, Lake Champlain, New Hampshire. Very similar to the Loch Ness Monster. People seeing a creature living in the lake, they call him Champ, the Lake Champlain Monster. There's a photograph taken in 1977. Could be another plesiosaur out there. We got some more Ica stones. These show natives flying around on pterodactyls. Well, how did they know what a pterodactyl looked like? Or a triceratops? Here's a guy riding a triceratops. If they could hatch them out when they were young, raise them up, tame them, do some of these things, just like we ride horses today. We got the Acambaro figurines from Acambaro, Mexico. Over 50,000 of them have been found. You got an iguanodon, Stegosaurus, Diplodocus. They're about 2,000 to 2,500 years old. In 1945, they didn't have a complete iguanodon skeleton, yet there's a figurine right there. Shows a complete iguanodon. Here's a few more examples. We've got the armadillo lizard. Bites his own tail as a defense mechanism, kind of like the hedgehog balls up. The spikes come out, or the scales come out in spike-like fashion. You can look at him right there. Doesn't he look like a little dragon? Well, reptiles never stop growing, so imagine if he lived, kept on growing, got to a pretty big size. You got some interesting stylized depictions of what could be an armadillo lizard. Over on this wall, we got these stories of the knight slaying the dragon. Russian medallion, knight slays the dragon, postage stamp from Bulgaria shows the knight slaying the dragon. Siegfried slays the dragon, Beowulf slays the dragon, goes up to Scotland. Right behind you on the left. St. George's Chappaqua, Barcelona, Spain. You've got the knight slaying the dragon. Damsel in distress right there in the middle. Hold on 1 second. Use the second toilet. The first one has been running, so it should be.
Oh wow, look at this.
See the door? Yeah, that one.
This is crazy. Tell me how you guys think about this. This is cool. You guys should definitely come here someday.
All right, well, don't we have trophy hunters today? Pay a lot of money, they travel to Africa, they want to kill something big, kill something rare, same thing.
Do you see all this? There's a theory.
Barcelona, Spain. Here you go. Knight slays the dragon, 1450. St. Nicholas Cathedral, knight slays the dragon. So they were just hunting what they called them dragons, just like we call a dinosaur Stegosaurus, you know, Triceratops, T-Rex, we call them all dinosaurs. They just called them dragons. We have some historical references. Alexander the Great said that his soldiers were scared by the dragons living in caves when he invaded India. Marco Polo, the Italian explorer from the 1300s, said that the Emperor of China was training dragons to pull chariots during special occasions. You ever seen a Chinese parade? They got all the dragons there.
Yeah.
Very heavy on the dragons. So, after Noah's flood, as land becomes more limited, dinosaurs will be driven to the more remote areas of the world. Just like we don't find bears roaming around major cities. Just not going to be happening. No. If you guys follow me through here, we've got some more depictions. Yes?
I gotta go use the bathroom.
Okay. Can you use the outdoor ones? Because our septic is overflowing, so if you guys can use the outdoor ones. You got a 2nd century Roman mosaic showing 2 long-necked dinosaurs.
Come back here.
So they knew about dinosaurs in Roman times. Hadrosaurus on a mural from the home of Dionysus in Israel from a long time ago. This is a mural from the 1600s. Monastery in Greece shows Adam naming all of the animals. Well, if Adam is naming all of the real animals, why'd they put a flying dragon in there? How'd they know about dinosaurs in the 1600s? Over here, we got some footprints from Glen Rose, Texas. Interesting. You got a human print next to a dinosaur footprint, and then you've got a human footprint inside of a dinosaur footprint. The dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. Why are they finding footprints right next to them?
Sasquatch.
I don't know about that one.
That one maybe.
Those are actually human footprints. So you can see how big some of those guys were. We got a picture of fossilized dinosaur skin. Right? You can see the circles in the skin. The Ica stones also show the circles in the skin of the dinosaurs. Interesting. Well, how did they know what dinosaur skin looked like unless they lived with the dinosaurs? And then we can compare it to the circles in the skin of these reptiles here.